let me ask you though, Urs, do you think that because of debate, because of debate, or the lack of debate, I should say, that's the reason why? As I don't know, do you see it as we aren't as knowledgeable? And maybe I should start with this particular area. Maybe I should start with this area. Let's start with this. I already have the Candace one queued up, but let me go through a list of these questions. And I'll be totally honest. I was talking to somebody yesterday about politics, and I almost made the mistake of just, getting too much into it because my my new approach is that, look, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just here to leave my voice, and when hopefully when I have some kids soon, or when I generations to come, or just people who aren't even family can go back and look at my Bible. This is what I'm writing. When I'm talking to y'all, we're creating our Bible. This is our Bible. This is our story that people are going to look at and say, this is how this person was, this is how they operated. These are the different stories they shared in order to learn these particular lessons. This is what we're doing. We're creating our story, creating our movie, creating our Bible. So when I spoke to them and they told me that they came from a lunch with somebody that has opposing political views as them. And he told me, he said, yeah, I kind of just realized that, certain people, it doesn't matter what you tell them, they're just not going to change. They will fight you on changing. So I said to that person, I said, well, do you include yourself in that? And he said, yes. And it made me realize that I do not, this battle, if you get too caught up on actually making the change, that's the instant gratification, right? You being able to tell a person, hey, A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3, I know you saw it this way, but it's actually this way. Or actually, you should just take a look into it. Did you ever consider these things? And they actually consider it and maybe change their opinion, or at least are open to it, open to a new perspective, and maybe see things at least a little bit differently. That's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And it just is what it is. People want to believe in what they want to believe in. People are going to push what they want to push. People are going to always prioritize information that aligns with how they already think. It just is what it is. And that's what I mean as far as, are we living in the dumbest times ever? The weakest times ever? Let me not say dumb. Are we living in the weakest times ever? Mentally, physically, spiritually. I think spiritually, it goes without saying. When we're living in a world of chaos where everybody's hating each other, where there's all this fear, clearly we're not living in an advanced place spiritually. We're not where we need to be. We are below standard. Mentally, when you can have information presented to you, like, how do we judge whether we're elevated mentally? Do we judge it by who knows the most information? Do we judge it by who can process information as quickly? And maybe this is why, if you're looking to change people's minds, go talk to kids. Go talk to kids. If you're looking to say certain things to where you can change how somebody thinks, go talk to kids. You're not going to have any luck talking to adults. They've already are set in how they think. It is what it is. You can present something different to them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So if you look at it in this regard, with as far as the ability for people to process information and to take that new information and to come away with new feedback, a new outlook on it, that's how I would judge our mental capabilities. When we just are living in a world where it does not matter what someone says, it does not matter what new information we get, it does not matter whether somebody presents something that directly disputes it, it doesn't matter. What it ultimately comes down to, I don't like that guy, or I love that guy, or I don't like that girl, or I love that girl. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter. We saw it in Kendrick versus Drake. We see it in Trump versus Biden, Trump versus Kamala. It doesn't matter. So I asked these questions, and these are some of the areas that I was saying, like, hey, are we at our low when it just comes to humanity? I said, how voluntary unhealthy we are. We literally know that we are being poisoned by our Food and Drug Administration just so they can profit. Nobody cares. We'll continue to eat the same food. Matter of fact, not only will we continue to eat the very same processed foods, but we'll continue to eat the food that we know is terrible for us. The Chick-fil-A line will always be long, while the Kava line, well, Kava actually is longest too. So maybe that's a bad example. We will continue. Chick-fil-A will always, and Popeyes will always have a long line. It just is what it is. Not a lot of people are going to be eating the fruits. Not a lot of people are going to be eating the vegetables. Not a lot of people are going to be eating the non-processed foods that may not taste, as good because we've been so addicted to sugar and salt our entire lives. It just is what it is. How we trust and rely on our leaders for change. That's the second area that I wrote down. How we trust and rely on our leaders for change. The next one is, and hold on, let me make sure I'm keeping up with the chat. Before I read the next one, I'll make sure I keep up with the chat. Hold on, where am I? Urs wrote, debating in person has a whole different dynamic, like text versus the call. You can't hide in person, so you must choose your words wisely. I think because we hide behind our screens, we become cowards. It's very interesting that you say that, Urs, because one of the things on this list is the fact that because there's not a need out of survival to be strong physically, strong mentally, where in different periods, previous periods in which we lived, you had to be strong, or else somebody comes in and robs you and rapes your wife and takes and does whatever with your kid. Like, you had to be strong. When we look back at the Wild Wild West, or just other ancient civilizations, or maybe not even as far back as that to call it ancient, but you had to have a certain level of physical prowess, I guess would be the word, physical capability to first and foremost deter somebody from even trying you, and second off, to engage if you are presented with this situation. We don't live in that time period anymore. We don't even live in a time period where we have to mentally compute things. It's like, I remember teachers saying that, hey, don't rely on calculators. Why? Because it's going to make you stupid, because you're relying on something else in order to compute things that you traditionally had to compute in your mind. Well, this is the same thing with the internet. This is the same thing with Google. This is the same thing with ChatGPT. We don't have to look up things. We don't have to go to the library. We don't have to read books. We don't have to look into an encyclopedia. Everything just happens so quick. We don't have to read a newspaper article that traditionally was more objective, that had to force us to think in order to make our own opinion, rather than just telling us exactly how we should think. We just look at the news all day. We'll just go on YouTube. We don't have any of these things. We're not forced we're not forced by just the rules of nature to stay in shape. It's like, almost, do you see out of shape cheetahs? No, you don't see out of shape cheetahs, because an out of shape cheetah is a dead cheetah. You can't be out of shape. You can't be injured. You can't be weak. You can't be tired. All these different things. But we're living in now of a time of such privilege to where we have the privilege to be dumb. Our kids can't read. Literally, we are living in a world where our kids can't read. And the very people whose kids can't read the most, those are the people that defend the education system the most. It's insane, the world that we're living in, when you really look at it. The very people who suffer the most from the education system on a continuous basis are the ones that defend it the most. Hold on, let me keep going with the chat. Urs wrote, even just having a discussion. Yeah, just a discussion. A discussion turns into a debate when people aren't used to having discussions in person. when everything that you say you feel has to be challenged, like all of these things, and challenged in a way to where it's going to affect your pride. Like we feel as if like we are such fanatics with certain things. Bro, Trump doesn't know you. Kamala doesn't know you. So why is you passionately defending them? Like, why is that prioritized over listening to your family and friends? It's like, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, that's weird. Urs wrote, back in the day, we were more calculated. We didn't just speak what was on our mind. We had to mind our tongue. Crazy thoughts didn't have space in a normal world. We used to live in a world where I just saw an article actually, or a video where somebody got caught lying on Trump. And they pretty much said that Trump told Netanyahu, they reported that Trump told Netanyahu to not do a ceasefire because it's going to make Kamala look good while she's still in office. And this lady said she got it from a particular report. And then people looked into the report. It wasn't there. And then she came out and apologized. I'm watching this Wyatt Earp documentary on Netflix. And there's a line where he sits there and he says, "Are you calling me a liar?" And you can tell based on how this person answers that question, it was like how we look at, like as a little kid in school, like, yo, you said something about my mother? Where you're ready to crash out, risk it all. Just based on his word, this man's Wyatt Earp's word was so important to him that he was ready to either kill or be killed just on defending the honor and integrity of his word. We don't have that right now. You could say anything about people. You can do anything. That's what Ursi's talking about. It's just a different time period that we're living in. All right, so what did I write? Even when you look at education, how people are still paying 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a year for a college education, in which when you look at the numbers of college educated kids, a college degree is almost becoming useless. Maybe that's what colleges are doing on purpose, because now they can say, oh, well, you have to get an advanced degree. You got all these college kids and then they're becoming baristas. Not to say that there's anything wrong with baristas, but I don't think you need to go to college to become a barista. And then when you go to college and you take out these absurd loans, where's the return on your investment? But what do we just keep doing? We just keep sending the kids to college, keep putting them into a whole bunch of debt. It makes zero sense, but we continue to do it. I was reading an article or came across something the other day where they were talking about how there weren't any law schools before. And I think this was the case with medical schools as well, where there wasn't law school. You didn't go to law school. You actually just did an apprenticeship with a lawyer. You did an apprenticeship with a doctor. But what did they realize? Hey, we can make some money off of this. We're getting caught up in the system. I would never, like, I just couldn't imagine having my kids take out loans to where they graduate at 22 years old and they got $100,000 or $200,000 worth of loans. And then I couldn't imagine paying for it. Like, I would literally rather give them, like, teach them what I'm doing. And there's a good video on what Ant actually sent a good video over on some of the things and how we can teach our kids with certain things and better equip them to be successful just on our own. So that's, what did I have? What other things did I have? Let me give you an example, actually. Let me give you an example. And we're going to pick on one of y'all favorite candidates real quick. Is it on here? Hold on. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I think it's on Instagram. All right, right here. So I even think from a political standpoint, like from a leadership standpoint, the leadership is suffering as well. So it's not like I'm saying it's just the common folk, Gen Public, I'm not Gen Pop. I'm not saying that. I'm saying across the board. Listen to this, and I'm gonna pick on Kamala Harris a little bit. It is what it is. She could take it. She's an AKA. She's built for it, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's take a look at this video. This is somebody who's running for president, who gets asked a simple question on how to fix the inflation problem. And I want you to pay attention to her answer. I want you to pay attention to if she answers, or if this is just another example of us being able to use just a whole bunch of word salad and just be able to try to finesse a situation rather than actually understanding and looking to address the problem. Take a look at this. Screen shared. All right, good.
Are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
And I want to make sure, hold on, I want to back out because I want to make sure you hear the question. What are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So it's a big issue, and we take it seriously. And it is a priority, therefore.
What else?
She has no idea what she's talking about. Like, in a literal way, like, I think she's speaking and listening to herself as she's speaking. Like, how does this sound? Like, is this what I'm supposed to say? These are the time periods that we're living in, where you can run for president and have no grasp on what the issues are, no understanding of actual economics, no understanding of solving any particular issues. Everything is based on identity politics. Well, what's the symbolism behind it? Well, what group does she belong to? What group does he belong to? What group does they belong to? That's the world that we're living in. It's a, I don't know. I don't know. And I hate to say it. Well, this is just another example. This is why, and I'm not bashing in this particular situation DEI. Y'all know how I feel about DEI. But in this particular, I'm not bashing DEI. I'm bashing what DEI causes. I'm bashing the basis of DEI. I had a conversation the other day with somebody where we were talking about Bronny, we're talking about Braun, we're talking about DEI. They're in human resources. And I said, hey, how do you feel about DEI? They said, I like it. Is it? What I'm bashing is the fact that when people get put in positions for any other reason outside of merit, when people get, sorry, hello? Sorry, the mic's going there. Sorry, my headphones were messing up. When people get in positions for any other reason outside of merit, this is what we have. This is what happens. We get unqualified positions, unqualified people who are put in positions because of things outside of their merits, outside of their intellect, but simply because of how the group that they identify with, how we can leverage that in order to get support from a particular group or not. Urs wrote, hold on. Urs wrote, I lost 8 IQ points watching this. Shy in the building. What's good, Shy? 11 hundo. Y'all know what it is. 11K, my fault. Not 1100. She looked like she just flew in on a Spirit red eye. Chill. I was supposed to take a Spirit flight the other day. I switched it. But yeah, it's just identity politics. Matter of fact, let's take a pivot. I actually was going to go directly to the Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, but hold on. I want y'all to check this out with our man Spike Lee real quick. I think this video is on YouTube. Hold on. Let me